All right, going across to the Group Editor-in-Chief, Navika Kumar.
Thanks, Madhav. And joining me this evening is Union Minister for Skills and IT, Rajeev Chandrasekhar. Thank you for joining me on Times Now, Rajeev Chandrasekhar. The question many are asking today is, was this budget a bit of a downer because people expected some good news to come out for the middle classes, some magic potions to come out for different sections of the society, but in the end, playing narrow and straight, wicket-to-wicket bowling, not even a single conceded in this particular budget. Is that a rather drastic way of presenting a budget just ahead of elections?
Look, Navika, while I respect your cynicism or your perspective, I think, as do most Indians, that this interim budget is, in a sense, a report card of the last 10 years of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's government governance and how he took a devastated economy that was left behind by the Congress UPA India alliance in 2014, has rebuilt it from the lows of a fragile 5 economy to the world's top 5 economies over the last 10 years. And he has done this with absolute clarity, hard work, and determination. And the really sharp contrast for those who haven't forgotten is that in 2014, the language that was being used to describe the 10 years of the UPA Congress was a laggard economy, high inflation, people suffering, investors running, and really a bleak future. And in sharp contrast today, we are 10 years after Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, looking at the future with unprecedented optimism and talking about the future in an absolutely, from an inflection point of view. So I think this is not a government, this is not a leader that relies on big announcements and then delivers nothing, which is what we've been used to during the 10 years of the UPA and the Congress. This is a prime minister and a government that has, really got down to basics, done these structural reforms, rebuilt from the lows that were left behind, the devastation that was caused to the financial sector in the 10 years of the UPA, and rebuilt it. So I think for everybody who looks at these 10 years and compares it with the previous 10 years, there is a lot of optimism as you extrapolate and look to the future. So I think that is the big news here. The big headline, if you want it, Navika, is that we are at an inflection point. We are at a takeoff stage as a nation. And today, when we talk about Viksit Bharat, when we talk about a developed nation as a future ambition, it's based on 10 years of hard work that has really brought us to this place. There is no way in 2014 anybody could have even thought about, forget about developed nation. We couldn't have even talked about low inflation, high growth, high investment, this type of digital innovation that we have seen. That was not the situation in 2014. And that is, in my opinion, the big headline that comes out of this interim budget.
Well, so let me ask you, either, and that's been the criticism that many people have given, that either we are talking about 2014 or we are talking about 2047. There is, 24, 25, 26, these are the years that normal people have to get through before they get to 2047. What's in the budget for them in this short term, number one? And number two, the question many very often ask is, what about jobs? What about the fact that the growth rates belie the performance of the Manmohan Singh years, and questions are raised about that?
Look, you see, I want to say this very clearly without any ambiguity. I think the real headline, like I said before, is that we are at the verge and at a takeoff stage in terms of an economy. We, as the Prime Minister himself has said, we are today the 5th largest economy, and we are poised. And you talk about the 26 and the 27 and the 28 and the 29. Of course, we have to travel through those years. We have to travel through 2 decades before we hit 2047. And those 2 decades are going to be decades full of growth, expansion. And I have no doubt about that. If you take the last 10 years and extrapolate it to the next decade, and the Honorable Prime Minister has referred to the next decade as the India decade, you are going to have a number of big milestones that we are going to cross. For example, and this is something I personally am aware of and know and I'm confident about, the digital economy, which has been growing at 2.5 to 3 times the normal economy, used to be 4.5% of GDP in 2014. It is about 11.5% today. And by 26-27, we will be 1/5 of the overall GDP, 20%. In terms of jobs and opportunities being created, Navika, we are at an unprecedented creation of jobs. This whole propaganda that is being put out by some people in the Congress is based on absolute lies. And if you look at the periodic labor force survey data, and I'll read this out for you. Unemployment rates have gone down from 5.3% in 2017-18 to 2.4% in 22-23. Yes, there was an aberration during COVID. There was a big spike during COVID, but that was the case all around the world. So there is this attempt to keep pushing this narrative by a group of people in the Congress who, I must say this for your viewers, Navika, who left India in 2014 after 65 years of independence, with 3 out of every 4 Indians in the workforce of this country without skills or without education. 42 crore Indians in 2014 woke up every morning and went to work to feed their families, to look after their families. Out of the 42 crore Indians that went to work in 2014, 30 crore Indians had no skills, no formal skills, and no education. This was what the Congress left behind after 65 years.
Okay. Well, we seem to have hit a slight bit of a bump in the digital India. Yeah, okay, back with us.
No. So I don't know where you got disconnected, Navika, but I was saying that the people who are talking about unemployment today, the Congress, must be shown a mirror that in 2014, when they left government, out of the 42 crore Indians who woke up every day morning and went to work to earn a living for their family, 31 crore Indians had no skills or education. And that was the situation that Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji inherited. We are today creating jobs, we are creating investment at an unprecedented stage. The Finance Minister Nirmala ji today said, we have doubled the amount of FDI that has come into India. We have doubled and tripled the investment in capital expenditure. Projects are being built. You think anybody with a common sense will not understand that jobs are being created, opportunities are being created?
Well, then let me get you to comment on a statement that came in from a member of parliament from the Congress party, and this is extremely relevant because DK Suresh made a statement saying that southern states contribute a lot more to the tax kitty of the country, and it is being sent to the northern poorer states. And he even went on to say that maybe southern states should get together and form a separate country. How do you respond to the statement coming in from the Congress leader?
Yeah, look, this is devastating that this is a party that used to have leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji, who worked so hard to create a unified India, build this whole concept of an India with diversity but unity. And you have this Rahul's Congress where there are these people who are shameless, who will do this type of appeasement politics, divide and rule politics that we thought had ended after the British left. And these are the same desperate politicians today because they have no alternative narrative. They have nothing to compete in terms of ideas with the BJP, will play to the lowest common denominator, will play to this politics of divide and rule and division. Look, the question should be posed to this joker from the Congress. Which governments were responsible for making sure the entire north of India and the northeast of India lacked development for several decades since independence? This is a question that should be posed to him and asked. And this particular person, and I'm sorry I'm infuriated by this, but this is absolutely shameless kind of politics. It is bottom crawling of the worst kind that the Congress is demonstrating under this dynast Rahul Gandhi. And it is certainly worthy of being rejected outright, because what we are doing today is sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas. We are taking every person along. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's ideology, and he is certainly, and I think as a South Indian myself, I owe it to my brothers and sisters in the North to help them also get opportunities to work together and progress India as a nation going forward.
Well,
so this type of pandering is really, it was either about calling Hindus malaria and dengue. When that doesn't work, then you call it about South and North. When that doesn't work, then you do appeasement politics and try and bring down flags of people who are celebrating Hanuman. This is the Congress politics of today. We are totally focused on development. This is a government that is totally committed to Prime Minister's vision of a Viksit Bharat, and that is, we are all in on that. And this budget, this interim budget, certainly is a report card that says that we are at a launching point for this really extraordinary phase of growth and expansion in our economy and
The arrest of former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren has pushed Jharkhand into a political turmoil. While Soren had announced a successor before he was even arrested, the suspense over when the government will be formed still continues. Even today, Hemant Soren looked unfazed as he was sent to a day's judicial custody. He waved to cameras with a broad smile today, just as he had waved to cameras earlier. In fact, there are massive developments that are taking place in Jharkhand. Champai Soren has, along with MLAs, met the governor at the Raj Bhavan earlier to stake claim to form the government. Earlier, of course, we had seen how the MLAs were leaving from Ranchi. Let's go across to Priyank, who's joining us from the airport there in Ranchi. Priyank, I believe that the MLAs have now, after Raj Bhavan, they are now heading to Hyderabad. Take us through what's happening at the Ranchi airport where you are at the moment. Priyank. All right, MLAs from the JMM, the RJD, as well as, in fact, the JMM, the RJD and Congress MLAs, in fact, who are leaving. Let's listen in to what they have to say.
क्या बातचीत हुई बैठक अब स्थिति राज का क्या है वो सारा आप लोग जाने
आप लोग हैदराबाद जाएंगे तो सरकार कैसे बनेगी? आप लोग हैदराबाद जाएंगे तो सरकार कैसे बनेगी?
अब सरकार बनाने के लिए राज्यपाल महामहिम हम लोग को समय देंगे। राज्यपाल ने तो कहा था कि कल बात करेंगे, तो कोई बात नहीं हुआ।